One of the biggest things that we noticed as an airline is that you need access to information instantly. Sometimes multitude of manuals are used to make decisions in real time. Outside of software and different systems, there's always a need to go back and look at manuals. Manuals are the core of any business that grow and develop into software or training or otherwise. PAL currently operates a fleet of Dash 8 Q400 and Dash 8 Classic aircraft, primarily in the airline, operating scheduled services all over Atlantic Canada and Eastern Canada into Ontario and Quebec. In my time at PAL Airlines, when working within document management and manual processes that evolved over the years. Obviously, many years ago, we evolved from a lot of paper, transitioning into electronic documentation using a variety of different systems to maintain document control and compliance. There was never really a great solution out there for us at the time. I felt that we, as a company, we built up some great processes with great people, but it was always a bit of a time sink and a lot of consumption of time in order to keep on top of all of the document management that we are responsible to maintain as a operator in an airline is fairly complex, and there's a lot of documents and manuals and cross-referencing of different manuals. And we use all the different tools that you would get, what I would say on the market with Microsoft, but it was hard to get something that would tie it all together.
Prior to web manuals, to maintain document compliance, it was a very manual process. We would have to have our own Excel sheets that we would keep documentation of what the regulation was and where in our manuals it applied to. But then every time we edited those manuals, we would have to then go edit the compliance as well. And especially when we were making hefty changes to manuals, it was a lot to keep track of. So it was definitely a cumbersome and long process.
Since we implemented web manuals, as an example, I like to use day-to-day in our operations center. Our dispatchers are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week around the clock. An aircraft experiencing an irregular operation out in the field, consulting with operations team and maintenance to determine impacts both on the maintenance and flight operations side, and being able to look up that information almost instantaneously across different manuals has been a game changer for us in our airline. We can search a minimum equipment list item for an aircraft and have it displayed in front of us within seconds. Before, that was a pretty arduous process, and even the limitations of products like Microsoft Office and things over the counter, I'll call it, don't give that powerful search feature across multiple documents and within the document. We're able to save time. Time is money in aviation. Our passengers expect a safe, comfortable, and on-time performance of our aircraft, and we noticed that in our operations center, the efficiencies and gains that were realized after implementing web manuals was spoke pretty highly of by all of our frontline and operations staff, including our administrators, our pilots, our flight attendants, and our dispatchers alike. As you can imagine, there's a multitude of regulatory bodies that you deal with in an airline across different countries, different jurisdictions of aviation authorities, and they all make changes every day. Things are changing in aviation very fast. The beauty of web manuals is that we're notified of those changes in most cases. A specific example is our minimum equipment list, which applies to an aircraft from an aircraft manufacturer and the regulator. Any type of updates that come in from the regulator or manufacturer are automatically notified to our administration team for incorporation if we see fit. So going through the document review process used to take us about 2 days to review all regulations, consuming a multitude of hours of effort by many people in a boardroom. And that now is just notified when you come into work in the morning. You can see the change and you can implement that change fairly quickly.
One of the coolest things about web manuals is that it's not a traditional file structure. You have distribution categories, which allows us to distribute the same manual in multiple different categories, which means people can see the same manual in different places. So when it comes to organizing our file structure for flight crew use, we can put things in places where they're much easier to access, and ideally that leads to less rooting around and allows us a lot more flexibility. So we could have, two folders as such, but both contain the same manual or the same sets of manuals. And the distribution categories are really a strong point. One thing web manuals allows you to do is really not have to worry about the formatting. It's all part of the design. So when it comes to editing a document and keeping, the design language consistent across the document, keeping the formatting consistent across the document, you don't need to worry about who's going to edit it, because as an editor, there's only so many things you can do, which is actually a really powerful thing, because you can assign someone an editor privilege and not have to worry about them altering the document in a way you might not want it altered. All they can really do is alter the text once the design's set, which is great, because if you're using a traditional word processor, there's lots of options and all sorts of people do all sorts of funny things. So since using web manuals, especially with the Web Manuals Reader app, we have a lot more confidence that flight crews will have access to documents when they don't have an internet connection.
Web Manuals has helped us stay compliant with Transport Canada and our other regulatory authorities, because within the system, it keeps track of the CARS and our FAA standards, IOSA, every other standards that we have to follow. And when there is an amendment to those regulations, the system actually flags it for us and makes sure that we are aware of those changes. So it's helped we have quarterly document reviews, and it's really increased the productivity of our document reviews, because we're not really going into the document reviews to discuss what needs to be changed in our manual. It's more of a review of what we have changed, and it's really increased just the overall communication across all of our departments and making sure that we do have that compliance piece. Web Manuals has really helped reduce administrative tasks, because we don't have to worry about the LEP, the record of revision, the table of contents, any of that annoying formatting stuff anymore. We can just go into the document and actually edit the content itself. And with all of the different modules that Web Manuals offers, it kind of takes care of all of those features for you. So if I were making an amendment to one of our documents, I could just go to the page I wanted to edit, and right when I draft that page, the LEP, record of revision, everything automatically updates right for you. So you don't have to spend hours and hours going back and comparing pages and making sure that the LEP matches what the page actually is. And it's really helped also with the submission process with Transport Canada, because now we're not having to submit the document a bunch of times. We can submit it once, and we know the LEP is going to be correct throughout the whole entire document. The implementation process with Web Manuals went better than I could have imagined. It's a very user-friendly app. Whenever you're implementing a new app or software in general, you always have your challenges. So I was a little nervous at first when we were implementing it across our entire company, but with the Reader app and how easy it is to use and follow, our users picked up right away with the different features of the app, and everyone has been very happy with the implementation and being able to have their documents right at their fingertips.
I think for us, in the evolution of Web Manuals, we have a great relationship with the team at Web Manuals. People like Matt and the rest of the team are always working to make changes in the right direction. There isn't this rigidity in Web Manuals to not do what the customer wants. There seems to be an overarching need to do what the customer wants, which is great. And I think because of that, we feel comfortable moving into the future with Web Manuals. It seems like there's always new features popping up, and every one of those new things that we find out about, whether attending their conference or through Cheyenne, working with the team, they've been excellent. They've been really impressive changes, and everyone here is very appreciative of that because everyone likes to think that they're unique. Sometimes there is uniqueness to operators, especially all over the world, and Web Manuals has allowed us to be unique and work with us to make that change.